I used to be that way. Like, I used to think seat time was like your number one thing, and it was an odds game, and the more you played, the better your odds got. Now I'm more of a pick your battles.
This week's episode of the Whitetail Podcast, presented by Moultrie, is with none other than Curt Headington.
People are probably going to make fun of me for saying this, but I literally attempt to mimic how a deer moves through the woods. When you're sitting there in the dark and you listen to a deer moving, you know, it's like, and then there's a pause. So even when I'm walking and I'm going, I only have 2 things on the ground making noise. They have 4. So I'm going, pause.
Right now, if you still have a tag in your pocket, you're probably struggling. And when it feels random, Curt has a systematic approach, hopefully finding success for the remainder of November. I hope you guys enjoy it. Here we go.
I would rather be hunting a deer and attempt to be systematic at what I'm doing, or maybe analytical at what I'm doing, because I do feel like you're playing like the ultimate game of chess. Can I predict what he's going to do and then obviously be there ahead of it, right?
Curt, we've had a really fun time. I want to thank you so much for opening up your home, cooking us steaks, showing us the tour, man. It's been a lot of fun. Your setup is amazing.
Thank you very much.
And it is chock full of big whitetails, which is what we're going to be talking about. But thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys coming up. Cool opportunity. I mean, I don't even know when I got into watching whitetail cribs. It was a long time ago. And I always thought, man, that's cool. You know, like, and then to have you guys here and go through the whole process. And I told my wife that this morning. I said it was the coolest part to me was just reminiscing on, you know, thinking back through every one of those deer,
reliving them
day, and yeah, like, you know, what did the woods smell like? What, you know, what did he do? Where was he? You know, like, how did it all go down? And it's weird that even after that many, you know, cool encounters and animals on the ground and now on the wall, boy, it's just like yesterday reliving it. So it was pretty cool. It was a good excuse to go down memory lane.
How painful was it recording the Whitetail Crib? So this is my plug for anyone listening that wants to do it, and they're like, I don't know. It seems like it's going to be hard, or it's going to be, you know, whatever they may think.
I would say not at all. You know, like, you guys are you got it kind of down to a science, and there wasn't a whole lot of. I mean, really nothing was scripted, and that's kind of my style anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'll be interested to see how you guys edit it and like how it, you know, turns out or whatever, because I feel like everything was just, I don't want to say talking head stuff, but, you know, you talk about a specific animal, and of course some of them are more exciting than others, and some of them are bigger than others, and you know, whatever. So I'll be excited. But yeah, anyone listening that's interested in doing a whitetail cribs, it was a very painless few hours. And pretty neat to watch the production side. I mean, I've been around some of it, you know, just being in the industry and stuff, but pretty neat. Like I said, I'll be anxious to see, having gone through it, then what the final product is, you know, how it all, you know, ties together or whatever. But
yeah, well, it's a fun process, and it's fun to hear the stories and just hear the passion. And I mean, the essence of Whitetail Cribs is someone that's basically designed their lives around whitetails, and like, you've designed your home around whitetails to showcase all your adventures, man. It's super cool.
No, it like I said, it's weird, and time goes so fast. But to look around, I mean, I'm still very proud of where we live and what we have, and you know, and now the trophies that are on the wall. You know, like I always joke, but I'm like, I hope someday, you know, I got grandkids. You know, and I'm old and, you know, not doing it anymore, but they can look back and be like, my grandpa was kind of a badass. You know, like, so we'll see. If not, somebody's going to have a huge pain in their ass getting rid of a lot of head mounts when this old boy kicks the bucket. But,
heck of an estate sale.
Yeah. Somebody's gonna get a deal at an antler auction. But.
Well, so we are in Northeast Iowa right now, and I think that it exceeded my expectations, to be completely honest. I feel, I don't want to hotspot this.
He said southeast Iowa.
I said Wisconsin. I think that's what I said. But no, and the only reason I bring that up is, you know, you could really take this type of terrain and follow the Mississippi River, you know, in the corner of Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and so I just want to give that as a frame of reference for people listening. Like, when we get into some of the hunting stuff, like, you know, picture bluffs, picture some terrain changes. Don't think flat ground in Iowa, because that's not what it is here. It's a
Yeah.
lot of rolling terrain, a lot of rolling ag. What other features would you?
And even compared to like southern Iowa, because I mean, I know southern Iowa casts obviously a huge shadow, because that's where the bulk of the talk or the attention happens, and I would argue it's where the bulk of the celebrity hunting,
Sure.
For lack of a better term, or TV shows and stuff. It seems like it all went down.
It's the most publicized.
For sure,
Yeah.
right? And I don't think it matters if you're talking about zone 4 or 5. I think they're both very publicized, and that's where a lot of it happens. And truthfully, I think it happened by default because people were smart. And all I mean by that is I would argue it's probably a little bit easier to hunt down there terrain-wise. But most importantly, probably it was a lot cheaper. To this day, it's a lot cheaper to own, a farm in southern Iowa than it is up here. So,
Yeah. What's one of the biggest challenges of hunting the Driftless region when it comes to hunting whitetails?
I kind of always joke about this too, Jake. But and I say it's like, dude, you're either hunting the top or the bottom. And I'm slightly joking about that, but I mean, realistically, that's really what it boils down to. Can you get away with hunting a bottom? Because now you're not just factoring wind. Like, your thermals around here, maybe even more important than even the wind direction, because I 100% could walk you to stands right now, and if it says whatever, the wind's going to be southwest, I can promise you when we get there, your wind will be moving southeast, or it will drop to the north every time because we're on such a radical
cliff
slope
edge,
or whatever.
Yeah.
So you got to learn that, and you got to understand how to hunt that, because I won't say that a deer always quarters into the wind, but I do feel like when a big buck, especially when they're alone, when they're just cruising and they don't have their attention like dead set on a doe, they're instinctive, man, and that's how they stay alive. And I swear they can interpret and read thermals like better than the wind. And I have example after example where the wind would literally be at his back, but the thermals are in his nose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be the only thing. And then obviously you're going to have spots that suck to get into. And I say it that way because like I have a stand that I've coined the mountain stand.
I can imagine you have to walk up to get to it.
It's one of them deals where you got a 35-minute walk in and it's all straight up and down, and you got to go slow and you don't want to get sweated up, and so I guess that'd be the main. If I'm thinking like driftless and how you hunt it, you better understand thermals, and you better be willing to burn some boot leather, because it's not you're not going to be hunting easy terrain.
What thermals is a term that gets thrown around, and I feel like it's one of those, people can listen to podcasts, people can read it, online, but I think, pulling out the milkweed and trying to learn it is obviously the best thing for a specific spot. Is there, are there leaves on the trees when you're practicing? And like, how much does that really change throughout the season that you've been able to notice?
I think, as a general rule of thumb, I don't know that it changes a lot.
Okay.
Like, I think common sense would tell you, obviously, when things are cooling, they're dropping. When things are warming up, it's moving up. I think you have to have the ability to take that layered with, like, barometric pressure. And obviously, the lighter the air, the more your scent is going to move up or down. It's the same way it's going to work, or, like, make the thermal more intense, or however you want to look at it, right? Because like I said, everything that would get you on a sloped approach with scent dropping is everything that can potentially help you on a morning hunt. And that's why, I guess I would prefer a morning hunt, because I feel like the thermals are in your favor. But you also got to know, are you deep enough into a bedding area where you are beating them back to bed? Because if you're not beating them back to bed, you're dumping your thermals right where they're going to want to lay down. Yep. And they're going to get you when it's dark. So it's this weird balancing act. And I don't think that changes a ton, with leaves or whatever. I don't. I just think you got to understand how to read the terrain and understand what those thermals are doing and where they're going. And I've got to, you mentioned milkweed, and it's funny you do, because I've actually I still always carry a puffer. Yep. Because I want to be able to see where the wind direction's going. But I love having the guy, I think the guys you're going to next, Deer Society, FaZe makes a little, I don't know, container full of like milkweed stuff. Maybe it is milkweed for all I know, but I've become a very big fan of having that with me and being able to just put a little of that out. I already know where my wind's going, but I want to see basically how light's the air and what are the thermals doing. And you can literally watch that stuff drop, or you can watch it climb away. That's pretty powerful to understand that information relative to any setup, because if you do, you can have deer downwind of you and they're not getting you because your scent is moving up and away from them.
Yeah, I think that's such an important thing. And I think having milkweed with you every hunt, if I forget it or I run out, it's like, it's a little
and I'm a pretty diehard ozonics guy.
Okay.
And I don't know, I think this is very debatable, and I think some people think it's, it's fake news or snake oil or whatever. And I've even seen like a direct impact with what I would consider your perfect bluebird high pressure day. You can get away with almost anything. I'll just say that. But it's everything in between. When it's hovering around 30 or when it has stalled out, and I'm talking barometric pressure specifically, that is when you're probably going to have weird wind issues. And I don't think it's wind. I think it's thermals.
Sure.
But if you understand all that, like, you can be a lot more effective in how you're going in, how early you go in.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I am a big fan of being there
early.
Yeah, beating them back to their bed and then just banking on, hey, they're not going to roll in here till the sun's coming up. But everyone knows, like, the coldest part of the day is literally when the sun is coming up. It's not before it. It's when it starts happening. So you do have a weird transition time before everything starts warming up and your thermals are rising. But boy, if you can play that or time that, you're almost bulletproof on those mornings. But
if you've been struggling this season and you feel like your farm isn't quite set up how it needs to be, I want to tell you about the Whitetail Master Academy. This has over 40 land designs from Don Higgins, and there is exclusive discounts for anyone that is a member, so you can sign up, join our hundreds of videos of in-depth conversation, whether it's about CRP, equip, understanding logging, understanding how to set up a farm. This is the most comprehensive place to get the best information when it comes to serious whitetail hunting. And if you want to sign up, you can use code WHTL, and we're going to give you a free 1 year of Onyx subscription while supplies last. So use the code WHTL at sign up. This is a great way to support the podcast. I own this business, and it would mean the world to me. And there is a lot of really good information that can help you right now or help you objectively look at your farm to start improving it for next year.
One question with, the high pressure day where you can get away with murder when it comes to, your scent is going up. Do you just get ultra aggressive on those days, or does it change your setup, or do you have because you hunt a lot of this, you have a core set of farms and that's what you hunt. And so it's like, man, I've been saving this spot. Wind isn't perfect, but I think my thermals are going to override my marginal win. I'm going to go for it. Do you calculate that in your risk versus reward assessment, like in November specifically, where it's like, okay, you're playing a game of poker and you're like, okay, I got to catch up. I need to start putting more chips in to try to win a hand or two. Like that's what November feels like a lot of times.
It does. In year over year, when I think about it, Jake, like if I'm going to roll the dice, to your point, 100% it's going to be a day like that.
Yeah.
Now I will never hunt a stand plumb wrong. You know what I mean? Like I just, and I'll say stand, I'm talking blind, I'm talking tree stand. I don't care if I have ozonics going, like whatever. If it's plumb wrong, I won't do it. Even if it's November 7th, I won't do it. But if it's marginal, right, like the ideal wind southwest and I have a west or south to southwest, or, where it's, because I feel like it's always that you got to be on that edge to kill them consistently, where it's almost right for them, almost wrong for you, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's where a marginal win can kind of bite you in the ass. That's the difference in him picking you off at 80 yards versus 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when pressure's super high, like I'm not throwing caution to the wind. Like I said, I won't hunt it plumb wrong, but I'll definitely make a marginal player get aggressive and, barge into a bedding area or whatever.
Yeah. When you see you get in early, how early are we talking? And let's say shooting time is 6:45 in the morning.
I'll base it on, okay, we can use shooting light or however you want to do that.
We can do 7 if that's easier.
I'm talking like there are times when I get into my tree stand, and I'm talking now I'm in. Like I've walked in.
Your bow is hanging up in a tree.
I'm ready to hunt, and I literally can close my eyes for 45 minutes to an hour before there's light.
What is your strategy behind that?
This is going to sound so weird. So even when I walk in, I try to walk in, if I'm hunting interior, right? So like almost all my morning hunts are going to happen interior, and I'm not going to start doing this until at the earliest Halloween-ish.
Yeah. Whenever the cold front rolls in, late October.
Yeah, it's going to be late October before I even start hunting mornings. But I go in early, and when I go in, people are probably going to make fun of me for saying this, but I literally attempt to mimic how a deer moves through the woods.
I love it.
Well, you know what I mean? Because if you actually just pay attention to your surroundings, when you're sitting there in the dark and you listen to a deer moving, you know, it's like, and then there's a pause. And I can literally see them, what they're doing, but you can't see them. It's plumb dark, right?
Yep.
But you know they're like taking a few steps, then they look around, or they take a few steps, now they're nibbling a bush or whatever. It's just how they move. So even when I'm walking and I'm going, I only have 2 things on the ground making noise. They have 4. So I'm going, pause. And one pause might be 5 seconds. And then I go another 10 yards, and now maybe it's 30 seconds, and so on. But I feel like that strategy, if you have a deer on the fringe that you would normally get away with walking by, you wouldn't get away at 100 yards if you were just beating feet to your stand. Because you sound like a predator.
Yeah.
I think if you sound like a deer or a possum or whatever, right?
Yeah.
All those animals sound the same when they're moving through the woods. And I don't know that a deer can tell. But I just feel like you can get away with a lot more in the plumb dark than you're going to any other time, period.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So I attempt to mimic them, and I want to be super early, because even if I do bump a deer and they scatter, I'll bet they're only scattering 50, 60 yards and stopping. Like they're not blowing out when it's plumb dark. So anyway, yeah, that's
your strategy. So basically,
it's a safety precaution, right? Like I feel like the earlier I'm there, the better my odds are of, number one, not running into him, but number two, even if I were to run into him or a doe that would blow me up or whatever, stuff's going to calm down before he's actually coming in to scent check that bedding area. Because this talk is all specific to a bedding area. In the mornings, I'm almost always hunting a bedding area or a pinch point in between, or you know what I mean? A transition area.
You're pretty much in the timber. And when you say interior, are you it's timber.
Yeah. Interior timber. Yep.
I think it makes perfect sense, because you're right. And I feel like there's two schools of thought when it comes to getting into your stands. Like, get there as fast as you can, because that, there's less time of intercepting a deer. And then the other school of thought is what you just shared, and I would tend to lean towards your approach, because this picture, like a risk meter on a deer, like I know I hear something, but I'm not worried about it, versus like I hear something that sounds bad, I need to get the heck out of here. I just like I said, I kind of go back to the natural thing, because I would like Jake, if you were here and hunted with me through the entire rut, and every morning that I wanted to hunt interior, you could deliver me with a side-by-side, right? Yep.
Crazy, you can smell gas, it's loud, blah, 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 blah. I would literally take that over a direct walk to my tree stand, as far as like how much interference we're going to put in the woods around the deer, because I feel like they don't associate danger with that. They may scatter 60 yards, but they didn't leave. Yeah. Whereas, like, I do feel like if you go on a death march through the leaves on November 5th, you sound like a train coming at them. Yeah. Like, at least attempt to be stealthy. Yeah. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't know. I mean, that falls into the same school of thought with people that use e-bikes and go right to their stand, right? I mean, it's kind of the same idea. Dude, when I use my e-bike, and this is typically more in the afternoons, but I will ride an e-bike, I'm talking like to my stand, and it gets laid down under my stand, and people are like, oh, what if they come through? And I'm like, I've had them literally sniffing and licking my handlebars before, and if it's not moving, it doesn't seem like it alerts them. But I do think an e-bike in the afternoon when deer are bedded, if they can't directly see you and all they're going to hear is 2 tires, you can get away with a lot.
Yeah, or I've done it. Or even if they do hear it, because they are quiet.
Right.
They're very quiet.
I think they can hear it, but if they can't hear it and see it, or hear it and smell it, you're in trouble. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
I guess some of it's opinion probably, but
so I mentioned that you have your dedicated pieces, and when we were doing the cribs, you're like, I'm not the guy that's gonna go. I hear of a deer and I'm gonna try to go get on it and try to kill. Like what I have a couple good farms.
Yep. And
I'm gonna target what shows up.
Yep.
How much does that ever feel limiting throughout the rut too? When you're like, I guess looking around, you probably usually find a deer every year, but
not every year.
Yeah, but I think that approach is a lot more relatable to the normal guy. Like, they have 2 or 3 spots and they're rotating. What do you think that a lot of people may do wrong or may not recognize their impact when, you're fishing out of the pond and you're trying to catch the big bass?
Yeah.
And you hope the bass is still in there and didn't get ate by a turtle or something. But what do you think a lot of people overlook? And I'm relating this more towards the rut. Like, they took the week off of vacation, they have 2 farms, and they just hunt. What does your hunting schedule look like throughout the November? Are you somewhat methodical with when and where, or you're like, time and stand kills big deer?
I used to be that way. Like, I used to think seat time was like your number one thing, and it was an odds game, and the more you played, the better your odds got. I'm not saying I went the plumb opposite on that, Jake, but now I'm more of a pick your battles, or like play the odds based on all the things, right? And when I say all the things, the one thing that I've got way better on is historicals. So if something amazing happened, or I seen a deer, or I have a series of pictures of a deer from last year, I will almost set my hunting schedule up based on that, right? Like, if I know there's proof of life, even if I don't have them consistently, because now we're talking about November, but I know last year on November 7th, 8th, 9th, he came through, or he was with a doe that's probably on my farm, and that's what got him there. You can bet your ass I'll be there. And now I've seen it multiple times play out that way. The key is if that deer's alive, kind of to your point, is did the turtle get the bass? And sometimes I know, sometimes I don't know.
Yeah.
And even going into this year, the biggest deer I was on last year, I didn't get on until mid-November. And 100%, I do know he stayed on me most of November. Well, I would bet he was there by probably mid-October.
Yeah.
And I didn't know because I wasn't paying attention, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So like this year, as far as I know, that deer made it. I think I would have heard about it had he been taken by a hunter. He's a pretty good one. And I hadn't heard. So I'm banking on him rolling in any given day and my camera picking him up. And I don't even care. I don't need pictures to be like, oh, I got to go hunt him in there. I just need pictures for proof of life. I know he physically made it. And this is a very remote spot, so it's not like it's an easy spot to, roll up to the bean field or the hay field and look for him.
Yeah.
It's almost an island deal. So I'm going on good faith that he did make it, and that I'll have him whatever, call it for the rut. And I've already, you'll laugh at this, but I completely changed my setup on this ridge, specifically for this deer.
What'd you change?
2 stands got shifted or moved. And I've hunted this place forever, years. And the one was a very modest change where I literally moved like 10 yards to get into a better oak. I switched out of a white oak tree and into it's a pin oak. But they're only 10 yards away. The reason I'm doing that is the pin oak holds its leaves so much longer. I just feel like I have a lot more back cover, where the white oak I was in, although it was a big tree, there'd be no leaves on it when I'm trying to kill these deer. And I feel like every little bit of movement, they'd pick you off. So that was a very modest tweak. The biggest tweak is I added a tree stand on the opposite side of this ridge. And I know it's kind of hard to explain this or give you a visual on it, but I put a stand in a very legit pinch that normally I wouldn't go to because I feel like I'm encroaching too far.
Yeah.
But now I don't care. Like I hunted it last year and seen I can get in there. I got to be early. But I can very easily beat the deer in there, and then literally every deer that's going to come through is going to go by that. Mm-hmm. So with anything that's north to northwest, it's dumping my scent and thermals for that matter off literally a cliff that they will not go. They're not going to go below me. Period. And then I even hinge cut a few trees and changed the trail structure there. There's 3 trails that converge all together, and it's one little pinch. And I even literally shut off the bottom trail to force them even further up the hill. And I do have a camera set in there, at this pinch. So I'm already monitoring how many deer are using. It's a ton. Mm-hmm. And right now it's heavy doe traffic. And I was like, that's fine, because come November, where they're at, I know what he's going to be doing. And like I said, I just have enough intel from last year to know I need to stand over there. And I know that's probably, I would call my shot and say, if that deer hits the radar, and I'll let you know on this, Jake.
That'd be great.
1,000,000% that is the tree stand I will kill him out of. Because every time I seen him last year, that would have been the common thread. I watched him basically go through that area, but it's you can't hunt it in the afternoon, literally impossible. And even in the morning, it's a huge pain in the ass to get there. But I think this deer would be worth it. So,
you got to do it, yeah.
Knock on wood, we'll see.
I mean, I hope you call your shot here. We'll clip this in with the with the success there. Now, you mentioned something about you're just waiting on this deer to show up late October. That was a trend that it honestly took me a little bit of time to pick up. Where you get a picture of a big deer in the middle of the night.
Yep.
October 18th, October 17th, October 25th, that time frame, and you just think yeah, he doesn't live here. But man, I wish I could relive a few seasons where I know what I know now, or think I know what I know now, to where a lot of the deer that, for someone listening right now, that had a bomber show up in that time period, he's going to be running around in there in November.
Pretty good odds.
Yeah,
yep,
I would bet for it.
And I think most of the time we're only, I'm saying, missing them, Jake, by, I'm saying whether it's hundreds of yards or a quarter mile or something, that deer is close.
Agree. Yeah.
He's not coming 3 miles randomly and showing up. He's 300 yards over the fence, and you're literally the edge that he doesn't normally go to, but he's right there.
Yeah.
And all it takes is that one doe, to jump the fence or whatever.
Pressure to change. You name it. Yeah.
Another hunter to walk in late and bump him, one morning, and all of a sudden he's like, I don't bet here anymore. And he shifts his
or even
pattern
it's just for 3 or 4 days. And he goes back to where he was, but your window. That's the thing. How do you balance the small? I mean, an entire whitetail season is just a progression of very small windows of opportunity. How do you thread the needle of window of opportunity? Because here's an example: is you went in and identified okay, this is an okay setup, but I want it to be the best possible, and you went in and made those changes. For a guy that either is hunting a new spot or somewhat on the fly, I gotta figure this out. I mean, I know that's a very overarching big question, but if you could refine it into a tidbit of information for someone, that would be great.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a magic straw answer or whatever on this. I think it's the one thing I've learned is to be more patient. So I've thought through setups a lot more in depth than I used to, but I used to be a lot more mobile, right? So whether it was a climbing stand or sticks and a lone wolf or whatever, where you could be very mobile and move, I used to kind of chase activity like that.
Yeah.
And I've just learned through the years, probably less is more. Don't do that. But I could completely change the setup for,
Yeah.
And most of it's because you misinterpreted how your setup should be.
100%.
And you learned it through observation or so I get sorry for a long answer on this, but I don't know that there's a right and wrong. I mean, I am a pretty firm believer if you see a deer do something 2-3 days in a row and you don't make the shift, then it's on you.
Yeah.
But I damn sure wouldn't make a shift from something that you had thought through on why you are where you are because you see a deer do something once. I won't do that anymore. And I used to do it a lot.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good piece of advice for during the rut because, people will, realistically, a lot of people, I would say most, and hopefully I don't upset anyone, but people have their spots, right?
Yeah.
This is my spot. This is where I'm going to be. and the deer always move 125 yards down the ridge. Yep. And one of these times they're magically going to walk within bow range here. And I think the level of success would go up drastically if you're like, okay, I need to go where that movement's at. Which at that time, like, you have to get in the mindset of a hunter. He's like, maybe he doesn't usually wake up early. He's been getting up early for the last week.
Right.
And he's like, man, I'm tired. I don't really want to do that. But my point is, like, this window of opportunity is so small. Like, you got to make hay when you have your chance, because it's going to rain.
Yep.
And you're going to ruin your crop.
Well, and no bullshit. I mean, I've literally made a midday move, and I'm talking with a hang on and sticks, right? Like, I've seen something happen in the morning, and then it calms down. You know, you're in the, let's call it 10:30 to 1:30 window where, yes, something awesome could happen, but realistically speaking, it's probably going to be the slowest-ish time of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at 11:30 in the morning, I have pulled the set down and physically moved 75 yards and put it right back up, based on, again,
did
something I've seen.
And
it has worked.
Okay.
I'm saying as a general rule of thumb, I won't do that anymore. I would wait. Again, because in my mind, I'm sitting where I'm sitting for a reason. Like,
it wasn't a dart thrown at a map.
So I feel like maybe what I seen was random. But, yeah, if you see it 2 or 3 times, you should probably move. The other thing on that is you don't know, was that shift because you're hunting?
100%.
Do they know you're hunting? Yeah. Did they smell you from yesterday or 3 days ago, and instead of using this trail, now they're going to use that one? Like, you don't know, but you better figure it out quick, especially within big deer. Like, that window is going to be short. And I do feel like when they're truly comfortable daylight walking is typically in small bumps.
Yeah. What's a rut superstition you have when it comes to mature bucks?
Oh, rut superstition.
Or something that you feel like you're an outlier with your thought.
God, I feel like all this has been so beat to death. Like, I'd probably go back to little things like how I walk in.
I think that's a big thing.
I'm a huge freak with Evercalm.
Okay.
Like, literally, I won't go hunting if I forget my Evercalm. It's going on my boots.
You swear by it that much?
Oh, dude.
I've never used it.
Oh, my God. It'll change your life.
Really?
And I'm not sponsored by Conquest.
Brought to you
by Conquest. I don't even remember who introduced me to it originally. But I started using it, and dude, I've seen deer do some crazy stuff when Evercalm's on the ground or like you're using it. And what I do, so it always goes on the bottom of my boots, 100%.
It's like a deodorant stick.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I do it on the inside of my boot, because that's what's going to rub on whatever.
Yep.
And I do some on the bottom, but I'm obviously cognizant the stuff on the bottom is like going to wear off. And it's kind of like, okay, actually this led me perfectly. I always laughed when I thought about people doing like scent trails, like they're dragging a scent bomb or whatever, an estrus pad through the woods. And I always thought about that, and I'm like, well, that's dumb because a deer instinctively is going to go to where the scent's stronger. Well, it's going to be the strongest where you started and the weakest where you're hunting, right? Yeah. So that's always in the back of my mind.
I remember when I was young and I was using a scent drag, and I was like, the deer always go the wrong way.
Yeah, weird, right? But same train of thought when I'm like putting Evercalm on my boots is I'll stop. If I got to go a couple 100 yards, I may touch the bottom of my boot 2-3 times, going purposely so that I never have that.
Yeah, that's pretty superstitious.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'll go there with that one because, again, through the years, I've just seen so many I've never had a negative thing happen with Evercalm. They're all positive. But almost weird, like having deer almost in a trance downwind of you because you got and then they just lay down, and you're like, what the?
That is crazy.
I'm telling you, if you haven't used it, you need to try it.
I'm afraid I'm going to have like an OCD twitch of Evercalm like you now.
I'm telling you, if I forget my Evercalm, I'm probably going back to my truck.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I guess that speaks volumes to what it is. Now, I want to talk about...
And don't ever change it. Evercalm, if you are listening, do not ever change that formulation.
Do you have a box in here in case they do?
I literally buy it like six at a time, and it never leaves my truck.
I'll be darned.
So my truck smells like balls all season because I got Evercalm in there. But yeah.
All right, so I feel everyone has a story of just, it's very easy. I feel like it actually is pretty easy to get completely just locked on a deer. Mm-hmm. And so, like, obviously November is only so many days. There's only so many, like, good cold fronts, like all the things that you talked about before that gets you really excited to where you just are completely consumed by a single deer.
Happened multiple times.
And where do you like falling in that rut? Or is it like you just got to?
So you'll laugh at this, and this might be like the, I don't know, OCD in me or whatever. Like, I would rather be hunting a deer and attempt to be systematic at what I'm doing, or maybe analytical at what I'm doing, because I do feel like you're playing like the ultimate game of chess, and it's, can I predict what he's going to do and then obviously be there ahead of it, right? Because I'm not big on calling. Like, I've killed some deer calling, but I'm way, the more I've matured as a deer hunter, the less I call.
Sure.
Just because I feel like I want my element of surprise to be my biggest factor. Like, I don't want them to know I'm there at all. Mm-hmm. But anyway, back to hunting a particular deer. Like, to me, that's the game. That's the real game.
Was that a progression? How old were you when you hunted, like, I'm hunting this deer. I don't care if another big deer walks by, my bow's hanging up there. Or did you ever get to that point?
I don't even know if I'm to that point now, because
sure.
The biggest deer I've ever killed, and I think I may have even mentioned this, but the biggest deer I've ever killed was number 3 on my hit list that year.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy, and I'll probably never have a year like that again, but it's the year I was literally consumed with Big Murphy, which you're familiar with. And then I had another deer that I would have put, like, for sure mid-80s typical. Mm-hmm. And then I had the one I call wide tens, my net booner. Mm-hmm. And it was crazy because I took a day off from hunting Big Murphy just because I was literally fried. But I also knew I needed to be in the woods because it was November 13th.
Yeah.
And it was windy that day, and you're going to laugh at this, but I was going to sit in a blind, and I took like a 6-pack of beer with me. I was going to chill, like no pressure, just watch a food plot that I hadn't hunted. I hadn't given it any attention. And sure enough, I ended up killing a net Boone and Crockett that night. I knew about him.
Yeah.
I just had given him no attention basically because I was hunting
a world-class whitetail.
Literally a world-class whitetail, yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question, but like, I still think you got to make good on an opportunity if it's there. But like,
yeah,
I didn't go there hunting that deer. I just got lucky and the moon and stars thing
lined up. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Big Murphy because I feel that.
Shit, here we go.
I feel at some point, if they're lucky enough. Mm-hmm. They may have a story like this. Obviously, it doesn't end the way that you want it to end. But, like, just to have that opportunity to, have an opportunity to hunt a world-class whitetail for that long and be so close so many times. So we'll do the more we'll do the more condensed version of it. And hopefully people can pick up some things that they can have in the back of their mind throughout November, because I think there's a lot of valuable lessons, throughout that. So I'll set the stage somewhat here. Learned about this big deer.
Yep.
You're able to get access. Had everything set up. The deer lived in this thicket, like lived in it. It's like the story of, this deer did not typically leave this area.
Yeah.
So it's like the stage is set. I have a really high opportunity. You had hunted the fringes throughout October. Did you have sightings in October at all from the stand?
No, lots of pictures.
Lots of pictures.
Lots
so he's
of pictures.
there.
Yep.
Cat and mouse. You're being really methodical with it.
Yep.
Calendar switches to November. Mm-hmm. Intensity of the woods intensifies. Hunter's intensity intensifies, and so I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, no, you nailed it, and everything you just said, Jake. I had really slow played in my mind because he was so old. Like, we had 100% proof the deer's. He was either 9.5 or 10.5, believe it or not. The year I had the opportunity to hunt him. And in my mind, I'm like, that's a whole different creature, right? Like, you can't screw him up. Like, it has to happen organically or very natural or whatever. So to your point, I'd hunted the fringes. But what really was telling me is that he'd show up on all my food plots out on the fringe, but it was plumb dark. And when I look back through pictures in September, he'd daylight walk 45 minutes ahead of, and closer we got to October, the later he got. And it was just interesting that he inherently was doing that. There was no pressure.
Yeah.
So through October, I was very frustrated because I was getting him, but not, when I was there. He'd be there 20 minutes after I was there, but it was also plumb dark. So, and I'm going to screw the dates up, but all I know is looking at the extended and looking at DeerCast, I'm not going to lie. I love that tool because it blends a lot of things that I care about into one tool. But we were going to have a run of unbelievable weather, right? Unseasonably cold, bluebird, high pressure, 30.25, 30.3, everything was going to kind of be in our favor. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So I just made the decision. I'm done with it. The day before, I had a bunch of daylight pictures of him in this bedding area, and it was no joke, it's like a 30-acre thicket. It's not big. And it's interesting because it's fairly sparse, so you can see through the bulk of it once you're elevated. The only exception to that is half of it is just inundated with Japanese knotwood. And it's thick, but they can't move through it either without alerting you. It's noisy to get through and whatever, but obviously they bed in it. So I just made the decision to roll the dice, and I'm going to say it's November 1st, right? Mm-hmm. But the day before, I had daylight pictures of him. I'm talking noon. He was tracking a doe around in there. So I just was he's got a doe in there. And I got to go in there. And it's the only way it's going to happen. So I took my frame pack that I go elk hunting and stuff with, and I loaded sticks, a stand, my bow, everything you need for a day. It was on my back, and it sucked. But I went in crazy early. Never used a light, Jake. Everything was just based on kind of how I remembered when I put cameras in there. So I went in there and I used the moonlight to pick a tree. And again, these aren't great trees. These are
shrubby,
river bottom.
Yeah.
So I just picked one that looked, relatively straight. And I popped up a stand. And that morning, almost like you read the script, I did have him come through with the doe close enough to shoot, it was 25 yards. Problem is I wasn't ready, and I'm going to admit this. I wasn't ready for it to happen the way it happened. Let me put it that way. I was sitting, my bow was on a hanger, and by the time I reacted to the sound, the doe had me pinned. Mm-hmm. And she was a great big old mallet head thing, and I was I just need to lock up, right? So I did. And then, of course, I hear and right behind her, here comes Big Murphy. But I'm literally could do nothing. So I let him walk by me at 25 yards that morning. Didn't get a crack at him.
Do you wish you just would have grabbed your bow and shot?
I don't think I could have. I've thought about that a lot.
Yeah.
I think I did the right thing because he didn't blow up and she didn't blow up, and I feel like they were oblivious that I was even how close he was to dying.
Yeah.
Because once he got past me, all of his attention was on that doe. But prior to this, all of her attention was on me. Mm-hmm. 100% walked right through my wind, the whole thing. But because he was locked on her, so now I had the intel from a camera the day before midday, and I feel like that's probably when he picked her up. Mm-hmm. And then now it's, again, November 1st, and he's still with her. So
in your mind here is I have a 36-hour, 48-hour window where he's, this is rule of thumb for people,
right,
where he's going to be with that doe.
Probably that locked on that doe.
Wherever that doe is going to be,
yep,
he's not going to be far.
So I literally didn't hunt the next day because of that, right? He's locked with his doe. The odds of, I just didn't feel good about it, so I stayed out. The following day, I went in, perfect conditions again, and I'm sitting all day. I had heated socks on. Everything. I'm staying all day. Doesn't matter. Well, I go all day. Great activity. Don't see him until 5 o'clock that night. And the reason I seen him was another buck circled into that knotwood area, and there was a hell of a commotion. And then both of them come popping out. That day it wasn't close enough to shoot. Like he was by himself. I wasn't really going to mess with him. Like I didn't want to give up where I was, but I also now know he's on his own. Like he wasn't hooked to a doe. So fast forward to the next day, which brings us to whatever it was, November 3rd, I think is the day, shoot him.
Was this is 2021, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Or 22. I don't know. A few years ago.
Yeah.
But that morning, the only thing I did, the afternoon that I seen him, the only thing I did was before I got down that night, I spun my tree stand. I did a 180 in the tree. So instead of facing, west, now I'm facing east. And I did that because both, visual encounters in this bedding area, I seen where he came from, or I know where he came from. Let me put it that way. So I did spin the stand.
Which is, gosh dang it, if you would have had the stand the other direction
probably
the first time,
killed him.
You would have
actually probably would have killed him both times, truthfully.
And that's the game of inches of deer.
Well, here's like kind of going back to that thermal discussion. So I had in my mind, I was set up where, he's going to want to quarter into my wind, or like where the prevailing wind is, and I'm going to be on the edge of it, right? Like he's going to have to walk basically past my wind, if that makes sense, where again, it's almost right for him, almost wrong for me.
Yep.
And he's the only deer I've ever hunted that I've seen this on a very, like every time he would walk with the wind to his back all the time. And like, I started thinking about that. I'm like, well, maybe, maybe he's deaf. Maybe he's, can't smell properly. Like, I was like, something's wrong with him, because he's doing this weird stuff.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still don't know, but like he was doing literally opposite of what I expected.
That's why he's still alive.
Well, I think so. Like, I think it's part of it, right? Like it was so it was weird for me to sit. So now I'm sitting literally with the wind, what I would consider plumb wrong.
Yeah.
Because I'm now expecting him to do it again. So anyway, I spin the stand 180, Jake. Next day I go in, same thing, crazy early. The only plus is everything was in the tree. I didn't have to drag everything with me. But that next morning, I'm in there. I don't know if it was an hour after first light. It wasn't. It was a half hour after first light. I physically see him. And now he's in tow with a doe. He's not pushing her hard, but he's definitely not letting her like do her thing. He's just staying with her. So for like 2.5 hours, mind you, this is like a 30-acre thicket, so I can basically see everywhere. The whole time I can see him or her or both of them, okay? And they're just, whatever, shuffling around, eating, doing their thing. They laid down for a while. So anyway, fast forward, now it's, 10 o'clock in the morning, and I've had glass on this deer. I'm losing my mind, honestly, because I've got to look at him so in depth. And here comes his doe, and actually there was two does, like it was a growth, or it might have even been mom and fawn. I can't remember now, but like doesn't matter. It was two deer, two fawns, or two female deer. She comes, and I see how she comes, and he's like 20 or 30 yards behind her, like tracking her. And when she comes through my opening, I clicked her a few times, and I was getting like 40, 41 yards. Well, I'm comfortable shooting that, and it was very wide open, like. So I moved my dial and come to full draw. He gets in the hole and he stops naturally, and honestly even looks away like it was meant to be. But I had a slight panic moment because I was like, oh my gosh, he's 5, 6, 8 yards deeper than she was. So instead of trusting that, I literally just ranged a doe there and was set up to shoot him at 40, instead of just holding bottom third like I always would, I kind of held top third. And I ended up hitting him exactly where I was aiming. And maybe he ducked into it a little or something. I don't, whatever, but hit him high. Yeah. Hit him high shoulder. Anyway, so, that he ran off. It was a golden opportunity. We brought dogs in the next day and everything attracted. And the reality was he was probably back to cutting a doe 2 minutes after I shot him, and it was, found the arrow. There was like probably 8 inches of penetration, but the only thing I can think is it like literally hit him and then like kind of slid into his back strap, if that makes sense. Arrow wasn't broke, anyway, didn't get him. didn't get him. So I'm one of the losers that can say they've shot a 200+ inch deer, but I don't have them to show you.
It's heartbreaking because you have so much work, so much preparation. Then you're just didn't.
And I was driving about just to put this I was driving about 40-45 minutes every time one way to hunt him, and doing it religiously. I don't know how many miles I put on my truck that year hunting Big Murphy, but it was a bunch. So yeah, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, let me ask you this: if that deer was a mean, slick 158 9-year-old, right? Do you think do you think the result would have been the same? Because and what I'm asking is maybe, and I could be totally wrong. I have not shot or hit a 200 deer, so don't take this the wrong way. But do you think that by putting that deer on a different caliber or a different pedestal, to where you're you had kid gloves and you're obviously nervous as anyone would be, if it was just another solid deer, do you think the story would have ended differently, or your approach would have been drastically different?
I don't think my approach would have been drastically different. I think my approach is my approach, and I just got lucky that I had a deer of that caliber to hunt that year. So I don't know that there's many things I would have done differently. I never, of all aspects of your hunting game, the one I probably never really doubted is the ability to keep my shit together in a high pressure deal.
Yeah.
And shooting, and I'm not trying to brag, but
you used to own an archery shop,
correct?
And you are an archer.
Yes, and I feel 40 yards is. I'm not saying it's a chip shot, but I'm saying very, very, very well within
for someone that's very
level.
Proficient.
Yes.
Shoots all the time, knows all the inner workings of a bow.
I didn't even think twice about it. Right,
yeah. Perfectly tuned bow.
I'd like to think so. So where I'm going with this, Jake, is the thing that I did that I never do is doubt. I don't want to say myself, but I 100% second guess
your
that
instinct.
Distance.
Yeah,
and I shouldn't have. Had I just shot him how I would have normally aimed, I would have killed that deer. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I had a little panic attack right at the moment. Could have I let down and moved my, pin? Probably not. You know what I mean? But did I need to accommodate for that? What I in my mind was a 5 or 6 yard difference? Probably not either.
Yeah.
Or I should have went middle on him or something. But I just remember thinking oh my gosh, he's a little further, and I just held it. I'm talking 6 inches different than I would. And it bit me in the ass. And to this day, I think about it. I'm I'll never do that again. Whatever my gut instinct is how I'm going to shoot, because it's worked for me so many times. But I don't think it would have mattered if it was a slick 150 or an 150 inch 8-pointer. I could be wrong. I guess I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, man.
Yeah. The only reason I position that is obviously you have hopefully it's not once in a lifetime, but it very well could be a once in a lifetime.
It is.
Yeah. And so it's you recognize that this is a very rare opportunity, ultra rare for a deer of that caliber to be in such a tight area. And then it's it's almost I don't want to mess up. I don't want to, I feel that's what most people would fall into.
The weird part about it was, and again, that deer taught me a lot, because almost everything that I thought I knew, he would defy, right? The fact that he would stay in there, this teeny little area, 30 acre, nothing. And there was nothing in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was, other than seclusion.
Just his
right?
home.
It was just a tangled mess, and you couldn't get to him, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of defied everything, because I butted food up, within both directions of this 30 acre thing. I put food plots to drag him out early, to entice him early. He wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
He could just
didn't read the script.
Yeah, he was
from that perspective.
Crazy how instinctive that animal was, but it was also crazy how easy it was to pattern him, I guess, or you know what I mean? He was always in there.
Yeah.
And it just become a matter of, could I get in there clean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So great experience, and it sucks. I'll be shocked if I ever have a deer of that caliber to hunt again. I hope it happens, but I'm a realist.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time, and he is hands down the biggest animal I've ever got to pursue. Probably the only 200 I've ever. Yeah. I know it is, actually.
Yeah. And then I'm sure people are wondering, he didn't die. Mm-hmm. You got pictures of him. You actually saw him when you're glassing for him, and encountered him on the way out in an evening. And then November, was it like the 21st? Or it was late November when you got the last picture. And then we're going to insert the unsolved mysteries. If you have information about this deer, please.
Right. Somebody knows. You know what I mean? But I think the last. So to answer or to close out the Big Murphy story, he lived. Like 5 days later, he's back on camera, and I continued to hunt him. Literally had 6 more encounters, or where I physically seen him. So all of November he was there, and very consistent in what he was doing. Yeah. And then poof, I think it was November 27th or 28th at 4:00 in the morning. He's on one of my food plots. That's the last picture I ever got of him. Yeah. And it was literally poof. So then my mind started wondering, well, did he die?
An infection, or
you don't know, right? But in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna go 100%. I'll pick his shed antlers up, and 100% I'm gonna play this game again with him next year, right? Yeah. Or I felt like I'd have killed him late season, and I would have shot that deer with a muzzleloader, 100%. Right. But he literally just vanished. And so a lot of doubt set in that he was probably dead, whether it was hunter dead or poacher dead or nature dead. I didn't know. But didn't find his sheds. But I did go through all the due diligence again the following year as if he was going to come back or be alive. Mm-hmm. And obviously he never came back. So I don't know what happened to that deer. But hopefully I'll send you some pictures. You can put them up when this thing airs. And
maybe
if somebody knows, I would just have closure. Obviously, if you
give the family closure.
Well, I mean, it's kind of how it feels.
We were talking last night. It was like Big Murph was a household, household hot button.
My kids were like, "Dad, you're whacked out of your mind." My wife, God bless her, she knew it. That deer was consuming my life. Yeah, and I so badly wanted him to be my. I don't know, man. I guess if I'd have got him, there wouldn't be much to look forward to. You know what I mean? Because he is that magnitude of deer, but. In the same, I do feel like I don't have a world-class whitetail. I got some damn good ones. Yes, but I want that one headliner, the 200+ inch.
Yeah, we all do.
1%er, whatever. Yeah. And maybe it happens down the road, maybe it doesn't. Whatever.
Well, I think another thing for people to pick up on is and I've seen this happen over the years too. It's like someone puts a marginal shot on a deer, it's non-fatal, and they're like, "Oh, he's never going to come back." Yeah. And usually, if that deer was living there and he wasn't just a transient cruiser that day, and you're at the right place at the right time, typically they'll be back.
Let me put it this way, Jake. So I shot that deer. The following day, we literally burned down
every square inch.
I'm talking, yes, it got beat up. It got beat up with 4 dudes. There were 4 people. In 2 different tracking dogs. Same guy had, but we ran 2 different dogs at 2 different times looking for this deer. I mean, we blew this area up. Yeah. And I don't know, was it day 4 afterward or day 5, but I mean, 100% he came right back, and you'd have swore nothing ever happened. Yeah. Even daylight walking in mid-November, I got oodles of pictures of him, with a big cut high in his shoulder. In it's broad daylight, he's walking around in that thicket. Yeah. So, if you hit one marginally, but he lives there, I would tell you
story's not over.
Yeah, it's not over. It's not even close to over. I would go right back to being very due diligence, and hunt him again, because he's pretty good odds he'll be there. Yeah. At least in my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I hope. I feel bad for making this joke.
I'm over it now, so don't worry.
I joked after you told me the saga yesterday. I was like, I just stopped at the Casey's gas station. I swear I saw a milk carton that said, if you have information to Big Murph, call Curt.
Well, it's funny, because we named him Murphy for Murphy's Law, right? Because if something could go wrong, it's going to. And boy, maybe that's what snake bit me. We should have named him Big Murphy, but it is what it is. I mean, I just truly, I feel blessed that I even had the opportunity to pursue a deer like that. And And I guess I will say I feel like I won the chess match.
Yeah.
Like I put myself in an opportunity to kill that deer in his bedroom, and he was oblivious. I'm the one that screwed that up, right?
Yeah.
But I was there. I gave myself an opportunity, so
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Well, Curt, I really, truly appreciate the hospitality, you bringing us in, taking good care of us, showing us the whole beautiful setup.
Thanks, man.
Just really appreciate it. I can't thank you enough for that. And
Had a lot of fun. It was a good time.
It was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, if people want to, maybe they have information about Big Murph. How do people get a hold of you?
You can hit me up on socials. I mean, I think both Facebook and Instagram. I'm just use my name, Curt Headington, or at Curt Headington. You'd find me. Or they can check UC Hunting Properties is my day-to-day gig. They could track me down that path as well. So.
Well, thank you so much, Curt. We got to hit the road. We got more stuff going
on.
Shake
and bake, baby. Take care.
Thank you.